Netflix is cracking down on Australians who share accounts outside of their household. Here's what it means for you. Netflix says its crackdown on users who share their accounts with people outside of their immediate household will hit Australia in the coming months. It comes as the company says more than 100 million households have shared passwords with people they do not live with. Let's take a look at how the changes will impact Australian users and how things got to this point. Why is Netflix preventing free account sharing now? In its earnings report for the final quarter of 2022, Netflix said it had seen widespread account sharing involving more than 100 million households. The company said account sharing undermined its long-term ability to invest in and improve Netflix and to build its business. Netflix said it anticipated the widespread introduction of paid sharing would see some people cancel their accounts, with fewer people expected to join the service in 2023's first quarter compared with its second. We expect some cancel reaction in each market when we roll out paid sharing, which impacts near-term member growth, the company wrote. But as borrower households begin to activate their own standalone accounts and extra member accounts are added, we expect to see improved overall revenue, which is our goal with all plan and pricing changes. The company's decision to introduce paid sharing has not gone over well with some users, who have voiced their frustrations on social media.
Thanks to Netflix, everyone born after 1998 is about to learn what a torrent is. Posted by Ali Maynard, February 1, 2023. I will be leaving if my VPN needs to be turned off when I want to watch Netflix. There are other free and paid streaming services available. I would rather protect my privacy than to compromise it for Netflix. Posted by Nicole Johnson. February 14, 2023. Thanks for nothing, Netflix. I use your service on 3 devices that move around. They are all not at the same one place all the time. When this happens, I will not be paying extra for each device, therefore I will be forced to leave. Great job, NF. Posted by Mark Doohan, March 2, 2023.
How does Netflix know if an account is being shared outside a household? Netflix says it uses information from things such as IP addresses, device IDs, and account activity from devices signed into the Netflix account to detect whether devices are part of the same household. If it finds an issue with any of the devices using an account, Netflix says account holders will be notified. When a device outside of your household signs into an account or is used persistently, we may ask you to verify that device before it can be used to watch Netflix or switch your Netflix household, the company said. We do this to confirm that the device using the account is authorized to do so. Is password sharing illegal in Australia? The Attorney General's Department says the legality of password sharing is mostly defined by streaming companies' service agreements. The legal status of password sharing under Australian law largely depends on the terms of service of the relevant streaming provider, a spokesperson said. It is a commercial decision for subscription service providers to determine what action, if any, they will take in response to instances of password account sharing, including any potential legal action in relation to copyright infringement. How did we get here? Netflix has been trying to limit account sharing for years, and its efforts have escalated recently. In 2022, the company carried out a test with customers in Latin America, who were given the option of paying a fee to add sub-accounts for people they didn't live with for about $4 per month. Netflix said it saw a reduction in users during the test when some users left the service, but engagement returned over time. In November 2022, the company also launched a cheaper ad-supported version of its service, which is believed to have helped it weather increasing competition and keep consumers as they faced rising inflation. In January, the company said it gained 7.7 million subscribers between October and December 2022. That was after it lost 1.2 million subscribers in the first half of 2022, marking the first time in 10 years Netflix memberships went backwards. So what exactly is Netflix doing? The company is changing its service so it is more difficult for account owners to share a Netflix account with people who do not live in the same home. It is a big move for the company because it is still common for people in Australia who don't live together to share their streaming service passwords, despite it technically being against streaming companies' terms of service agreements. Netflix accounts will remain shareable within a household, but soon an extra fee will need to be paid if an account owner wants to share their account with people outside of their household. Netflix rolled out the changes in Canada, New Zealand, Portugal and Spain and will launch them in Australia soon. What does it mean for my Netflix account? Let's take a look at how things compare for account owners and other account users. If you are a Netflix account owner, when the changes come to Australia, you will need to set a primary location for your Netflix account, which the company says ensures that anyone who lives in their household can use the service. If you have a standard or premium Netflix plan and want to add people who do not live with you to your account, you will need to pay an extra fee to add up to 2 sub-accounts. In New Zealand, the fee is $7.99, $7.27 a month per sub-account, so it is expected to cost roughly the same amount in Australia. Netflix is calling this paid sharing, and while the company says it won't automatically charge you if you share your account with someone who doesn't live with you, that person will likely be told to create their own account or join yours for the extra fee. If you are traveling and want to sign in to Netflix on a TV or device which is not yours, it is believed you will be able to request a temporary code from the service when signing in. This code will be sent to the account owner, and when typed into the device, it will provide access to the account for up to 7 consecutive days. The company says if the primary account holder is traveling or lives between different homes, they shouldn't need to verify their personal devices unless they are away from their primary location for an extended period of time. Within a household, the number of devices that are allowed to stream Netflix simultaneously will still depend on which level of subscription the account holder has. The tiers allow between 1 and 4 devices to be streaming at any one time. If you are using the Netflix account of someone you don't live with, after the changes take effect for Australian users, you might get a message when you log in asking you to create your own account or join someone else's using paid sharing. Netflix says you will be able to transfer your profile, containing things like your watch list and streaming history, if you start your own membership or join someone else's account. Netflix has launched a subscription with ads in Australia. Here's why that's a big deal. Netflix's new subscription with advertisements launched on Friday, ending the streaming giant's model of offering content without commercials. Adding an extra membership tier may seem like a minor move, but it could have ramifications for the wider streaming landscape. Does this mean all subscribers will see ads from now on? No. Only people who sign up to the subscription with ads, which is cheaper than the previous subscriptions, will see them. Members who don't want to change will remain on their current plan, without ad, at the current price, the company said in a letter to shareholders. Wasn't Netflix anti-ads? Those who have followed Netflix know that I've been against the complexity of advertising, and a big fan of the simplicity of subscription, Chief Executive Reed Hastings said when announcing the plan. But, as much as I'm a fan of that, I'm a bigger fan of consumer choice. Why launch a service with ads? Mark C. Scott, a senior lecturer in screen media at Victoria University, said it was a bid to attract subscribers who want to watch Netflix content but don't want to pay as much for it. But it could also be a way of converting consumers on the fringe into higher-tier subscribers. Dr. C. Scott said it was similar to other digital platforms, like games or apps, where you can get a free service with ads or limitations. Once users grow to like the content, they may be more likely to pay to get rid of the annoyances. It's not a new model by any means, he said. Why now? Things are very different to when Netflix launched in Australia. When Netflix started, they were the one and the only, Dr. C. Scott said. We now have a very different streaming market. There's more choice, more options. That's resulting in them rethinking the way they present themselves to their customers and how to gain customers. Deloitte's Media Consumer Survey showed that Australians typically had more than one streaming service, with the average number of paid digital subscriptions per household growing from 2.3 to 3.1 in the past year. The survey of more than 2,000 consumers, published last month, showed the average Gen Z had 4.5 subscriptions, Millennials had 4.2 subscriptions and Gen Zers had 2.8 subscriptions. Now, pair that with the current cost of living crisis. Many people are making cuts to their budgets as their bills increase, and, when people have multiple streaming services, cutting back on one or two of them might be an obvious choice. This is also coming off the back of the pandemic, when people were spending more time at home. There were less external factors that impacted people's engagement with their services, Dr. C. Scott said. People weren't going to the cinema, they weren't going out to restaurants, the entertainment dollars were sitting there. And they were sitting at home needing something to do and watch. Coming out of COVID, that entertainment money people had spare, they don't necessarily have because they are out and about. Netflix lost 1.2 million subscribers in the first half of 2022, marking the first time in 10 years that the streaming service's memberships went backwards. Why is this a big deal? Netflix is one of the key players in the international streaming market, self-reporting 223 million paid memberships globally in a letter to shareholders in October. By comparison, Disney Plus reported 152 million subscribers in August, but if you add in Hulu and ESPN, the Walt Disney Company has 221 million subscriptions all up. Dr. C. Scott said Netflix has a big influence. Everyone will sit and watch and see what happens here, he said. But everybody has different business model and a different customer base. He thinks other services will be taking into account what happens and weighing up whether it will work for them. The Deloitte survey makes a similar point. While no single player defines the market, Netflix has been a substantial driver of disruption to date, and its rapid responses to saturation are already prompting competitors to respond with more innovative propositions, it said. Are we likely to see other services go the same way? Disney Plus is already planning on launching a service with ads in the US in December and has suggested it could be broadened to international audiences next year. It'll be interesting to see what others do, Dr. C. Scott said. He thinks people will still want to pay more for ad-free subscriptions, but the ad-supported model will be replicated in different forms. More services will utilize it. It might be more of those niche services, he said. Will it actually attract more subscribers? Dr. C. Scott reckons so. It's not going to hurt, he said. It's giving them those consumers that are on the fringe. Deloitte's survey found 44% of participants said they'd watch 6 minutes of ads per hour for a $5 per month subscription. And Dr. C. Scott said that it might even do better here in Australia than places like the UK and the US. That's because Australia's always had free-to-air television with advertisements, whereas places like the US have historically had much more pay TV. How is the new plan different? Subscribers will be served 4 to 5 minutes of advertisements per hour of media watched, according to Netflix Chief Operating Officer Greg Peters. Mr. Peters said subscribers would have a limited number of movies and TV shows restricted, due to licensing complications, although he said this was something the company was working on. Users won't be able to download content to watch offline, a feature offered to all other subscription tiers. What type of ad will subscribers see? Ads will be between 15 to 30 seconds long, play both before and during content, and, unlike certain YouTube ads, users won't be able to skip them. Eventually, Netflix, which is now operating in more than 190 countries, aims to provide personalized advertising, similar to how it recommends individualized viewing recommendations. Netflix to launch cheaper plan with advertising and fewer shows after subscribers drop. Netflix will launch a cheaper option with adverts next month after its first drop in subscribers in more than a decade. In Australia, the new plan will cost about a third less than the video streaming service's current entry-level, ad-free option, at $6.99 a month. The plan, set to launch on November 3, will have 4 to 5 minutes of ads per hour, and users will not have the option to download shows and movies to watch offline. A limited number of programs will not be available. Netflix's 15-year-old streaming service decided on a new direction 6 months ago after reporting its first decline in subscribers in more than a decade. A captive lockdown audience led to a surge in subscribers in 2020, but the stream giant's growth has since stalled, recording its weakest annual growth in 2021. Netflix lost 1.2 million subscribers in the first half of the year, leaving it with nearly 221 million. It is also facing stiff competition as more rivals enter the market, including Amazon, Apple and Disney, as well as free streaming platforms like ABC's iView and SBS, which also has ads. Then there is account sharing, with Netflix putting the number of households watching for free at about 100 million worldwide. Account sharing as a percentage of our paying membership hasn't changed much over the years, but, coupled with the first factor, means it's harder to grow membership in many markets, an issue that was obscured by our COVID growth, Netflix said in a letter to its shareholders earlier this year. The service's stock price also took a hit, wiping out up more than $200 billion $317 billion in shareholder wealth in the past 11 months. Shares rallied after Thursday's announcement, but still have lost about two-thirds of their value after peaking last November when the service was still growing. Inflation has also put households under pressure to rein on discretionary spending like video streaming.